Is reporters on ground, braving all odds, are bringing us the latest from the war-torn country. In fact, Gaurav Sawant, who's right there in Poland. Gaurav, take us through exactly what's the situation in many parts of Ukraine on day 28 of this war.
On day 28, there appears to be an intensification of operations. There also appears to be an attempt to reorganize both as far as Ukrainian defenses are concerned and Russian assault is concerned. We've just got information about a bridge being blown off, and this is a crucial bridge that was used for humanitarian assistance to come into Kiev, but that bridge has been blown off. Now, while on the one hand, these bridges are very crucial for humanitarian assistance to come in, these bridges are equally crucial for military supplies to come into Kiev and for replenishments. And whether, these are the anti-tank guided missiles or the surface-to-air missiles, which are extremely crucial. The second bit of information that's coming in, and this is coming in from multiple channels, that the Ukrainians have been successful in regaining some territory in the Kyiv region. Now, this would indicate that either they're fighting back very strongly or the Russian forces are reorganizing themselves, perhaps figuring out that one axis of approach is not working and focusing on another axis of approach. The third bit of information is the massive assault that's taking place in the Mariupol region. And in Mariupol, there are more than apparently, a large number of buildings that have been gutted. Russian forces virtually in control. Some fighting going on in some pockets, Nabila. And these are pockets where resistance is still there. Whether it's the Azov forces or the Azov battalions or the Ukrainian army that's still resisting, that bit is not clear. But this would indicate that on day 28, Russia has the Donbass region. They're moving forward on the southern axis, but they remain bogged down in Kyiv region, and which would be seen perhaps as a setback. 28 days and no success as far as the Ukrainian capital is concerned, Nabila.
Gaurav, do stay with us. In fact, we get more, we see the largest humanitarian crisis that unfolds in Ukraine. Thank you very much, Gaurav and Rajesh. We're going to continue coming back to you as this war enters the 28th day. In a big win here for Ukraine, though, its troops were able to regain control over strategically important suburb region of capital city. Yet Russian troops haven't really been able to take complete control of any strategic areas so far. There has been no respite. Putin's army has shelled multiple buildings in Kiev's Obolon. Loud explosions were heard in the eastern parts of the city, and according to reports, over 30 rockets were fired in Kiev. Russia has launched cruise missiles from Sevastopol area of Crimea that has been occupied by Russians. In the Marinka town in Donetsk region, the scenes are of devastation and destruction. Charred houses, buildings reduced to rubble. In Mariupol, Russian troops can be seen launching an all-out attack with military tanks strolling on the streets of the city. In Chernihiv, Russian troops bombed a bridge that connected the capital city of Kiev. In fact, the bridge was used earlier for humanitarian aid and evacuation of civilians.
Продовжуємо працювати на різних рівнях і заради того, щоб спонукати Росію до миру, до припинення цієї жорстокої війни. Працюють українські представники в переговорах, які продовжуються фактично щоденно. Складно, дуже, часом скандально, але крок за кроком йдемо вперед. Станом на цей день у місті перебувають близько 100 тисяч людей у нелюдських умовах, в повній блокаді. Без їжі, без води, без ліків, під постійними обстрілами, під постійним бомбардуванням. Вже не перший тиждень ми намагаємося організувати стабільні гуманітарні коридори для маріупольців. І майже всі наші спроби, на жаль, зриваються російськими окупантами, обстрілами або свідомим терором.
All right, now let me take you through some of those areas in Ukraine, which is now under complete Russian control. Those areas that you see there is of Russian troops that have managed to occupy most parts of Ukraine. In fact, but there has been no declaration so far that comes in on the areas that they have taken complete control of. But there you see Russian troops that have managed to surround and encircle parts of Kiev already. That marked in orange there shows you the extent to which Russian troops have managed to close in on several areas of Kiev and surrounding areas. These are areas that we see there of Russian troops that have managed to make their way in several key areas of Ukraine. Top 10 cities of Ukraine we see where Russian troops have managed to make their way. These are maps that shows the extent to which. Now, nuke threat looms large over Ukraine as Russia now issues a nuclear warning there, refusing to rule out use of nuclear power. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has asserted that Russia would only use nuclear weapons in the context of the ongoing war with Ukraine if there was an existential threat. Now, this is not the first.
Руководство Украины готово к выполнению Минских соглашений и, более того, вносит какие-то конструктивные, новые, свежие идеи по их Expanding Steinmeier.
All right, let's quickly cut across to Chetty Narula there, bringing us the highlights of the 7 reasons to why Putin is going nuclear. Let's have a listen.
I'm here to tell you reasons that Putin wants to go nuclear. Number one, the first reason on your screens, no significant gains even after 4 weeks into invasion of Ukraine. So that's the first reason why Putin would like to go nuclear. Number two, significant reverses. Death of Russian soldiers as well is a big concern at the moment for Putin. Point number three, they're losing tanks, jets, choppers, armored vehicles as well. That's the third reason why he perhaps might just end up going nuclear, but only if he faces an existential threat. That is what Russia's stance is. Number four, they're yet to gain full control of Mariupol. They still haven't got it. And number five, they've lost key Kiev suburbs to the Ukrainian army. They never expected such resistance coming in from Ukraine. Now, the West is standing absolutely, resolutely with the Ukrainians, with the country of Ukraine. And number seven, there are sanctions by the West that are now beginning to bite Russia. So these are the top 7 reasons why he wants to go nuclear.
All right, now we're looking at 6 rounds of peace talks so far between the two countries, Ukraine and Russia, but no signs of breakthrough. Zelensky has once again asked Putin for direct talks to end this conflict, but Putin shows no signs of backing down. The world is now holding its breath, really, and asking when and how this war would really end. Here's more.
"28 days and counting. Millions have fled their homes. The human cost continues to mount. The economy is flattened. But there are no signs of an end to this war. After 6 rounds of peace talks, a breakthrough still eludes Russia and Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has once again called for direct talks with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. Russia has rejected Zelensky's demand right away. Moscow says the president-level talks can happen only after the two sides agree on a deal.
With regards to the internal Ukrainian dialogue, it's upon Ukraine now after our operation in Ukraine ends. I hope it ends with the signing of a comprehensive agreement on security issues, that is Ukraine's neutral status with the guarantees of its security.
Much will also depend on where the US stands. American President Joe Biden is traveling to Poland this week. President Biden will not be visiting Ukraine despite request by Kyiv. President Zelensky is making no bones about his disappointment with his Western allies. While Ukraine is putting up a fierce fight despite relentless Russian bombardment, the question is how long they can do that. This is one war neither side seems to have an endgame. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, let me quickly cut across to Maria Inova, Ukrainian MP, joining us for a little more on this. Maria, we see that this war has now almost turned to a month, almost 28 days that this war has been relentless. In fact, Russia has only shown all signs of escalation when it comes to capturing key strategic areas, including Mariupol. They haven't really declared control, but we hear that 90% of Russian troops are already inside Mariupol at this time. Civilians really suffering in most parts of Ukraine. Give us a sense of what's happening on ground. Maria, if you can hear me.
I'm not Maria, I'm Ivana Klempushtensadze, if you're talking to me. I am
Go
also
on.
Ukrainian MP, but I am not
Ivana,
Maria Ivanova.
my
Yeah.
apologies. My apologies, Ivana.
Yeah.
Please go on.
Yes, unfortunately, the situation is worsening in Mariupol. It was with the attacks of Russian Federation that is trying to ensure that the city does not exist on the map as such. And as we are hearing from people that are still inside the sieged city and bombarded city, that 80 to 90% of the residential buildings of any buildings in the city are being destroyed, have been destroyed by the Russians. Unfortunately, not everybody could have left the sieged area, and they have been giving only scarcely humanitarian corridors, but also have been when giving the humanitarian corridors, they have been shelling, Russian troops have been shelling on those, wounding and killing civilians that were trying to escape. I have the story of a little boy, 8-year-old boy that has 8 wounds on his body, and his mother was killed. She was burnt alive in the car when he saw this by the Russians when they were trying to escape through an evacuation corridor. So the atrocities that Russians have brought on our land are just immense.
It's really heartbreaking when you really narrate those stories of absolute pain. We see that many parts of Ukraine right now, people are fleeing from those areas, moving towards safer zones. Would you give us an understanding on where are those safe zones in Ukraine itself? People have managed to flee the country altogether. Those who couldn't and don't have money to do so have moved to other areas of Ukraine where they could possibly find humanitarian aid. Are there safe zones under your view?
I think the whole country is already on fire and in flames, and they are trying to ensure that nowhere in Ukraine people would feel safe. But people are reluctant, in majority, to leave the country. So more than 3 million people have become refugees. Women, elderly, and kids. But a lot of people, around 7 million, have become internally displaced people. So they are finding refuge in some other central and western regions of Ukraine as of now. But unfortunately, Russians by planes and by ballistic rockets are reaching out also to those cities in the west of Ukraine and attacking and shelling them as well.
You know, Ivana, if you can give us a sense now, we see that several areas, including Mariupol, has been under constant attack, and Russia, as much as it claims, it's been close to a month now of this war, it claims to have already captured some parts of Mariupol. At least 90% of it has come under Russian control, is what we hear from ground sources. But you give us some clarity. Ukrainians have been putting up stiff resistance, and you all have managed to, in fact, chase away Russian troops from different parts of Mariupol despite their escalation. What's the fact on ground in Mariupol, really? And what's the strategic importance?
The strategic importance of this port city is our access to Azov Sea, and through this city we have been exporting 60% of our agricultural products, by the way, that also have been reaching India and other countries in Asia. And at this particular moment, this possibility is totally destroyed, not to mention that probably up to 50% of our planting season has been disrupted by the Russian attacks across the country. So that means that Ukraine, as an agricultural state that has been providing food to many countries across the world, will not be able to deliver. And that means that this war that Russia has waged against Ukraine will impact the other states that do think at this particular moment that it is none of their business to assist the free and democratic nation of Ukrainians to withhold this brutal attack and to actually survive.
Right. Stay with us. We also have Maria right now joining us, Ukrainian MP, for a little more perspective here. Maria, thank you for speaking to us, and we're really happy that you're safe. But we know that your civilians, your citizens of Ukraine have fled. Most of them who really have the spirit right from day one. It appears on day 28, there seems to be some kind of fear as threat looms large in many parts of those civilian establishments, as Russia, contrary to its claims of not targeting civilian areas, have been constantly bombarding those civilian establishments. So now, what would be your direction or word to those people who are fearful and fleeing your country?
Hello from Dnipro, and I'm great, my dear friend Ivana and colleague. As I'm in Dnipro now, I was in Zaporizhia, which is on the east of Ukraine. Now I am in a voluntary hub, and I see how many people are coming from the east of Ukraine, from Kharkiv region, from Donetsk region, and people just without, any clothes. Some of them are without any documents, with small children. And we have here two big premises like warehouse, and here is the volunteer hub of Dnipro. I mean, it's just 1 month ago, it was our political party office, but now it's more than 50 people are working as volunteers here, and they are registering also families from different towns and villages who were escaping from Russian rockets and Russian bombarders. And Ivana was correct, because, driving on the highway and saw all this gunshotted cars, which are halfly also destroyed. I mean, sometimes the majority of the cars, they even do not have roof. So, but they are, of course, evacuating and running from Russian rockets and Russian soldiers. But the situation, people anyway, they do not want majority of them to go abroad. They would like to stay in Ukraine. And of course, also I saw the list of that people who are also ready to take families to their flats, to their houses, and let people give them homes also as much as they can.
Maria, at a time like this, we can't help but ask, because of the kind of civilian atrocities that we see here, was Ukraine really ready and prepared for a war like this? And do citizens really have faith in their leadership any longer? We know Zelensky has been constantly giving out statements to motivate their people, but at the end of it, the kind of the tragedy that we see, their children becoming the victims to this war, has resulted in many of them fleeing. So is there faith that is still instilled in the establishment, in your government?
Of course, some of our women and children, especially wounded children and people who were under shellings, they are looking for a possibility to leave to European Union, to other countries. But I can tell you that the spirit of our people is very high and just amazing. And the problem is that still some of the countries are not providing very deep and sanctions which will not allow Russia to finance their army and to kill our children, women, and our civilians. So that is why it's also a question to the civilized world, to democratic world, to that countries who are helping Putin to finance all these rockets and to bombard our civilian towns and cities. As you know, some of the cities crashed to the ground, and but anyway, people are resisting, people are helping each other. So Putin, he failed because he didn't expect that not only our Ukrainian armed forces will be fighting so brave, but also people who are also now, organizing, helping. Also, a lot of people are in territorial defense battalions. So that is why we have only what we have to do. It's only to fight.
I think that's what it's come down to. Put up the best foot forward, your strongest spirit, and that's what we see here of Ukrainians. You're really standing up in the face of this war, and how so courageous of you. And our prayers going out to the people of Ukraine. Undoubtedly, we're hoping that this war ends at the earliest, and really appreciate your time, both of you, Ivana and Maria, for joining us here today.